Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going live today. It's a great day. It's Wednesday. Friday is byoq. That's bring your own questions. 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern every Friday. All you got to do is email me, david@dmeltzer.com, and you can join us or join us at 949-298-2905 by texting. So join the free training. It's easy to do. Just email me or text me. It's every Friday. Or you can watch the replays on the playbook. We had Cameron Diaz yesterday on the playbook. If you haven't caught that, she is extraordinary. Their new company, extraordinary. And Catherine, her partner, is extraordinary. So one of my favorite ones ever, if you have not checked out the playbook with Cameron Diaz, you definitely want to listen and watch that one as well. Anyway, Team David Meltzer, I don't see you here, but welcome. Let's get some questions going. Now I see you. There we go. Let me pin up my david@dmeltzer.com and the text 949-298-2905. david@dmeltzer.com. I answer everything myself. If you haven't checked out the reels, check those out as well. Let's get these questions rolling. What has been one of your favorite success stories? My favorite success stories is the 50 for 50 that I did for Unstoppable. And, I didn't know what I was biting off, but I had 50 birthday parties in 1 year to raise money for community centers in Africa. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but imagine if you had a big birthday party to raise money for charity every single weekend for a year. And every city you went in around the world, gathering all the people that you know and you didn't know that were in support of the Unstoppable Foundation. For sure, the greatest thing I've ever done, bought, and success that I've had, most fulfilling success that I've had, because it led to accelerating my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy. And each of those lives will change thousands of lives in history. Planting seeds under trees that I never sit under, as they say. Welcome, lots of love. Thank you, Kate and Sarisa in thin air. That's amazing. Please take care. Thank you, Kate. Anyway, let's get some more questions going. This is just a warm-up for the byoq on Friday. Bring your own questions. I'll bring the answers. One, on the days you push the hardest, do you ever feel like you need more time to rest and recover? It's not the pushing, it's the emotional side. So the days that I'm not at center the most, the days that I create the most interference, void, shortages to the unbelievable source of power, I need to recover more because I've drained myself, right? I've let people bleed me, ideas bleed me, negativity bleed me, and I'm looking for things that feed me. So I'm looking to feed the things that feed me, cut out the things that bleed me. And it's a very easy distinction to make, but I would find that the biggest and greatest recovery that I need is when I haven't done a good job of cutting the things that bleed me, of canceling out the negativity, of clearing the connection between me and the greatest source of light, love, and lessons, clearing out the corrosion that I've created through ego-based consciousness. I could go down the list of the days where I'm completely spent because I had a need to be right, a need to be offended, a need to feel guilty, a need to feel inferior, a need to feel separate, superior, a need to feel angry, anxious, frustrated. All of these different things require me for more recovery, and the things that feed me help recover me, as well as don't obviously require as much recovery. Let's get some more questions here. Amazing. Feeling such power and struggling. How do you avoid overwhelm? Balance overwhelming. Well, there's 3 different zones, and this is how I balance understanding overwhelmed, which is the anxiety zone. So you have a comfort zone. Let's say it's this big. Then outside of that, you have a learning zone where we want to be. Outside of that, you have the anxiety zone. When you feel overwhelmed, you're in the anxiety zone. And what happens is the more and longer you stay in the anxiety zone, pretty soon what used to make you comfortable, you're anxious all the time. And your learning zone's smaller, and it gets down, and pretty soon you can't get out of bed, or you have to self-medicate or medicate in general just to allow yourself to expand out. So we want to be very conscious, very cognizant of the anxiety zone. If you stay in the learning zone, it expands. and it allows you to overcome what used to be your anxiety zone. Now your anxiety zone way outside of that, and pretty soon your comfort zone's the size of your learning zone. Your learning zone's the size of your anxiety zone. Your anxiety zone's even farther out. But you must be aware. So anytime that you feel anxious, separate, inferior, superior, frustrated, angry, resentful, guilty, all these different feelings, stop, drop, and roll. Be aware of it. Stop. Think to yourself, why am I so anxious? Get back into the learning zone. So what do we do in the learning zone? We ask why. We're more interested than interesting. Why do we feel this way? Why are we doing this? Why are we accelerating in the wrong direction? Oh, okay, now we're back in the learning zone. We can continue expanding, growing, accelerating instead of shrinking, decompressing what we want, giving ourselves less chance, less statistical success by living in the anxiety zone. So many people do that and don't understand how and why they need to self-medicate, how and why they end up in bed and can't getting out of bed, why and why they're anxious and depressed all the time, or even suicidal. That is my mission, is to teach people to live in the learning zone, to empower other people to live in the learning zone, to empower other people to live in the learning zone, so that we can empower over 1 billion people, the collective consciousness to live in a learning zone, to be what? Happy. Happy, the greatest disease of all time. We'll spread it simply by witnessing it here on our lives. So let's keep those questions coming. Friday, byoq. Bring your own questions. I'll bring the answers. Everybody can join, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead, listen or watch the playbook. Has all the replays of trainings. If you want any of the exercise guides free, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. If you want to join my text community, it's 949-298-2905. It's pinned below, so you're not going to lose it. Go ahead, write it down, and reach out to me. I appreciate it. What is your take on copywriting? Is making six figures possible? Well, first of all, making six figures is more than possible. It's probable, right? Once you know your what, and then you attach your inspiration to it, the possibility becomes a probability, a mathematical advantage. So you can make six figures in anything. I would always say make over six figures. The best of everything, make over six figures, if that's one of the things that they're looking for, to make money, help people, and have fun. But you have to practice. You have to practice, and you have to get better. You have to acknowledge the skills that it takes to be the best copywriter, the knowledge that it takes, not only the knowledge of copywriting, but the knowledge of people who surround copywriting, and where are the highest paid opportunities in copywriting, and how can copywriting be created into a business, a product, scaling, a service, an app, whatever it may be. Copywriting is so much more than just reading and writing. And then finally, do you have the desire? Do you have the must be, what you can be attitude to make over six figures, a minimum of six figures while copywriting? I can tell you the same exact advice for anything and anyone. Somebody would have told me you can make 7 figures, 8 figures playing video games. I would have told them absolutely possible, absolutely probable. But you got to have the skills, the knowledge, and desire. Somebody asks you if you could do the same thing, writing poetry, drawing pictures, all true, animation. What are the 3 most common mistakes you see during pitch competitions? 1, credibility. 2, the emotional attachment. And 3, the ask. Those are the 3 biggest mistakes that are made. People don't work on credibility. They lie, oversell, back end sell, manipulate, cheat, and ruin the entire pitch. 2, they don't get the emotional attachment. They don't find out what the need is and how they feel the need and what the emotional attachment is to it. And finally, they don't ask. You have no idea what they're asking for. 3 most common mistakes in pitching. I do have a pitch competition if you guys want to join. It's been picked up by Bloomberg, so we're very excited about that. We already have huge distribution, but we have the 2-minute drill. Go ahead, pitch whatever you want for whatever you want. And August 28th, Friday, the next training, not this one, byoq, but the 28th of August. Come join me. Once again, david@dmeltzer.com if you want to join me for that, or 949-298-2905. All right? Colleen put up there, dmeltzer.com/pitch if you want to join directly. Go ahead, sign up there. David, want to come on my podcast? Yeah, sure. Go ahead, email me, david@dmeltzer.com, and we'll accommodate the best that we can. Obviously, we have a lot of requests, so your patience is appreciated. Elizabeth is in. Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And join us Friday for training as well, byoq. Should I hire a sales coach who I know that has made $5 million? Hire a sales coach that sits in the situation that you want to be in. Make sure that they work month to month and guarantee profitability. That's the only way I coach people. Month to month, I guarantee profitability. My salespeople, I guarantee that they will make more money than they come close to paying me or they don't pay me, and I don't lock them in. So if you're a person will work month to month and guarantee profitability, the subjective value, the Barney value, he can hug you all you want and tell you, I love you, you love me. But for God's sake, you better make some money. You got it? All right. If you are all interested in our sales opportunities, just go ahead. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I got a great sales program for you. I got a free one, I got a group one, and I got a one-on-one one. All guaranteed profitable. Free one, group one, and one-on-one one. All guaranteed profitable. Let me be of service to you as well, and make your person stand up to that value parameters as well. Here we go. I got cancel down. So cancel, Bonnie, is when you cancel the negative thoughts, words, actions, judgments, conditions. You just say cancel, internally or externally. Can you re-explain clear concept and how you do it, please? Sure. If you have cancel down, clear is really easy. So if we're canceling negative thoughts, but they keep on coming back in those situations where most people say, okay, let it go. It's not going to bother me. I'm not going to let that bother me. Let it go. That means that it's one of the 40,000 thoughts in your subconscious. It's not just something that's occurring in the conscious. If something's in that variable, you remember your brain is a vacuum, so it's going to replace something with what you take out. So you have that canister of 40,000 thoughts. The way that we replace it with what we want is we clear the negative thoughts. So what I do is, as a ferocious Buddha, is identify what's causing that negativity that keeps reoccurring. Stop and think about why would that be? Something in my past, something in my childhood, something in a past life, something someone said, but it's deep within the context of my brain. It's a neural pathway. It's 40,000 of the same thoughts. All I do is breathe deep through my nose and out through my mouth and say clear. Deep through my nose and out through my mouth. I am taking a frequency, an energy, and a philosophy all to clear that thought from the container, clear it from my neural pathways, allow the vacuum of the brain to replace it with a higher vibrating frequency, a better thought that you want to replace it with. All right. Hopefully that helps you with cancel clear. How to beat laziness. Lower the bar and do something. Action. Nothing happens until you move. So start moving. If you can't figure out what to do, then figure out something to do for somebody else. But at least you have a what. Once you have a what, your why will attach. You'll start expanding, growing, and learning. Okay? And you won't be lazy, I promise you. What's your take on MLMs? Love certain MLMs. If you have a great product, a few of them that I'm involved with, WFG, with Ed Milet, Edwin Aroyave, Marshall Falk, all those guys are involved in WFG, which is a financial MLM. I'm also involved with Elevate as a client. Love the product. The best thing about MLMs to me is that only 1% of the 1% make real money. Majority of the people, great side hustle, great at-home thing to do to make a little extra money, hobby, definitely. But those people, that must be what they can be. If they find a product they truly believe in, with no money, you can make millions of dollars. It is done every year. The 1% of the 1%, the people that understand segmentation, acceleration, and growth, Elevate. Another one in CBD, Ricky Mendez, he has Prime Your Body. So make sure you reach out to one of those three, or just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, 949-298-2905. Happy to help everybody, but most importantly, join us on Friday. Please just join us and email me to join on Friday, 11 a.m. byoq, bring your own question. The next week is our pitch competition. So bring your own questions, then the pitch competition. It's all free, so don't worry about that. If it's free, it's me, and now it's for you too. You look a lot like by my mentor, David Hudson. That's a compliment. I look like John Lovitz. That's not a compliment, but it's true. Is real estate still a good opportunity? Real estate is always a good opportunity. It just depends on what real estate, where you're buying, and if you're buying oversold or overbought real estate, and what the financing on the real estate is, what your payment is, or if you're paying cash. So absolutely Find someone that sits in this situation or has expertise of 30 or 40 years in the area that you're looking to invest in real estate, and ask when you overbought and go ahead and sell, or ask when it's oversold and bought. Wouldn't matter. Just ask for help from an expert in the space and get multiple opinions on what to do. Real estate is always a great investment. It just depends on which type of real estate, where the real estate is, what the price of the real estate, and the financing on the real estate. Many things. Remember, time and risk tolerance, no matter what you're investing, are two components of what we're looking for. What must I do for topic cold calling? Well, realize that when you're cold calling, you only have one objective. Either to be able to transition interest and provide more information, or get them to call you back. 80% of all cold calls are not answered. So you better practice on how to get people to call you back. You only have one objective when you leave a message: not to sell anyone, to get them to call you back. You got that? Only two things can happen when you're cold calling. They can answer, or you leave a message. 80% of the time you have to leave a message. So you're much better off statistically learning how to get people back than even selling. All right? Anyway, Alana. Is Alana here? Our director at Fitlight. Alana, where are you? Please come here. I'd love to see you. Anyway, maybe Jakey, we can find if Alana is here. Get them to call you back. You got that, my friend. You get them to call you back. All right, I'll take one more call, and hopefully Alana will be joining us. What's your view in time? Do you believe we create time? Oh, what's my belief in time, or view of time? Yeah, time is relative, right? Time is relative to, if you don't like something, it's going to take a long time. If you love something, it'll go fast. So we have to be productive, accessible, and gracious with our time. Speaking of time, there she is. Hi, Alana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
Good, good, good. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, it's my pleasure to meet you. And I'm really interested in what's going on with FitLight. And I know that you have done a variety of different things in the background, which is why I wanted to talk to you about how our careers evolve through skills, knowledge, and desire. And I always tell people, we start where we don't want to be, we angle toward where we want to be. And somehow the people who have that desire, like you, end up in a better place than we thought we'd be. And so I thought maybe you could kind of share that journey with us.
Sure, I'd love to. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to share my journey. Um, Essentially, I'll just give you some background. I'm a Canadian from Toronto originally, so I see that you support the e-game, the e-teams
Yeah,
there.
my best investment is Overactive Media. So my big venture in owning a team is up there in Toronto.
Oh, nice, nice. I'm actually living in Miami now. I've lived here for the last 5 years. I originally was in consumer goods, so I worked for an alcohol beverage company, kind of out of university for about almost 10 years. Then I went back to school, got my master's, and I did a little strategy project on a small company called Fitlight. So it was kind of, a in the garage kind of company. And I saw a lot of potential in it, and I thought, you know what, let me take a leap of faith, and try to see if I could work for this small garage company. And that was about 6 years ago. And it's evolved. Like I said, I moved to Miami. I opened the U.S. Business office here about 4.5 years ago. So we're doing operations here. Our head office is in Canada. And we operate globally as well. So it was, for me, I come from two parents who are entrepreneurs. I guess deep down, it was always something that I guess dreamed of kind of, having a business and seeing something, grow from the ground up. So it's been a really, really exciting journey, challenging, of course, but every moment I appreciate.
Yeah. No, one of the things that stand out today, because education itself worldwide is being rethought, restructured, re-engineered. And I get so many entrepreneurs that ask me the value of an MBA, of going back and getting a graduate degree, whether it be law school, business school, some sort of other, sports management program. Someone who has just, gone through that process and gone to a startup and is very entrepreneurial now. What value do you see in that graduate degree? And would you recommend graduate school to someone? And if so, in what circumstances, at what price, etc.?
Sure. So for me, I guess, I was ingrained, you always go and take a higher education. That was kind of, I studied a lot. I took a lot of extracurricular courses, that kind of stuff. And finally, when I made the decision to go back to grad school, it was funny because I wanted, I was up for a promotion at my current job. I'd been there for a while, and they kind of said, you know what, if you do this, then you'll probably be a better candidate. And so that propelled me obviously to want to invest in myself. And by nature, I'm a very shy person. Even this for me is like a big, kind of out of my comfort zone. So, for me, like I said, I'd worked in same job for several years. I was used to my little family of people. So just to kind of, go out to a whole new environment where there's just people from different backgrounds, that are quite intelligent, have, a wealth of knowledge, it was a little daunting to me. So at first, I was very kind of behind the scenes in the shadows, but the way it worked was it was kind of like a correspondence. So I would go into my group and do a virtual kind of MBA, and then once a month we'd go to the actual campus and meet with everybody across Canada. So the value for me was definitely that I got to experience people from such different backgrounds, whether it be culturally or through their work environment, and I gained so much knowledge from all of those people in such a different way. And I am proud to say, like, my group of 8, we're still to this day so close. We talk a lot about business. We've been to each other's weddings all over the world. And I think just the value of learning people from different industries, what they can bring to the table, it really allowed me to broaden my horizons in the way I think. And the way I approach problems, and the way I approached essentially this new business.
Well, speaking of that approach with the new business, what I really like about it is I talk about a conscious continuum from the actual conscious to the subconscious to the unconscious competencies that we have, our innate quantum potential that's in our DNA, the way our biometrics actually create a frequency or vibration. The FitLight program, the business that you have, really works within that continuum of not just, what we do, but it's what we think, say, do, and believe, and how that actually relates back to and can increase our performance. And so I think that general perception related to fitness and sports is really interesting to me, because I don't think many people understand that continuum, and they work in a conflict within their own beings that they're trying. It's like trying to ask me to slam dunk a basketball. No matter what training you want to put me through, I have a quantum potential. But if I work within the guise of my own potential, and I work through what FitLight does with how I see things, how I react and believe, and all the different continuum, different parts of that continuum, I can increase my performance no matter who we are. And at the highest level, for the people who have the highest potential, professional athletes, you can really see, because the subtleties of success are so thin, you can really see the difference of that continuum. Can you give us a brief overview of how that applies to FitLight and where the distinctive properties of, this very popular space is?
So, when I first came on with FitLight, I just thought it was like a sport training tool, like, a glorified stopwatch, if you will, kind of thing.
I love that.
And I think what really impacted me, because you talk a lot about professional sports and having like that higher level of continuing, was we work a lot with like healthcare. So specifically, let's say autistic children. And, to see, it was a boy who was using our lights, and the mother said to us, oh, you know what, you can use this video to show everybody, show the power of these lights, show my son who's never reacted in this way. He was nonverbal, but you could tell he was so excited, so like smiling. So when I see that kind of behavior, elevated kind of state for somebody who's not even able to express emotion, then that just shows the power of something that, a product that you can do. So
that's awesome.
That's a good example.
Yeah, no, it's a great example. Anything else that we should know about FitLight, or any lessons that you've learned along the journey?
So essentially, people say, oh, it's just lights. again, what does that do? What does that mean to me, right? So it's funny, you can use it in everyday life. It's a stimuli that you have to respond to. So every day you're inundated, especially now with all the technology, you're inundated with stimuli. I'll give an example of a basketball player, right? They're playing, they have their teammates, they have their coach yelling, they have all the fans. Well, not now, but before. So how do they see a certain stimuli and process that and react to that really fast? So that's what our tool does, and it's an engaging way to do that, and also get objective feedback. So it's great for, like I said, any professional sports team. We use it with physical therapy. Kids love it too, because it's a gamified way of, doing some type of training, getting them active. Because a lot of times it's easy for them to just maybe be behind their phone or tablet or computer. So it provides kind of a more dynamic way for them to, gamify maybe what they're doing. We're actually, working with some esports team to see how our lights can impact making them have a better attention as well. So,
well, I definitely am aligned with Fit Light Training, because I believe you get one action during the day and everything else is a reaction. So that muscle of reacting is really crucial. And that's why I meditate and find the highest frequency I can when I start my day, so that I react accordingly, and what I call plateau and grow. And I think Fit Light Training is a plateau and grow type of solution, especially for athletics. But there's, I think, even multiple purposes that you haven't explored that, that reaction time is crucial in, that goes far beyond, just the fit side of things. They can meet you at Fit Light Training. Where else can they find you guys?
So at our Instagram at Fit Light Training, our website, www.fitlighttraining.com. And you can follow us on Facebook and check out our YouTube to see different applications.
Well, thank you so much, Alana. I love what you guys are doing. I think more people will start understanding how important it is to train inner size as well as exercise. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, Alana.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Very cool. That's the future of fitness, in my opinion, the inner size. My friend John Asseroff has written books about that. And remember, I believe you get one action in the day, everything else after that is a reaction. So anything you can do to practice and prime those muscles of reaction, the more successful you'll be. The subtleties of success, statistically successful, efficient and effective, come from your reaction. And the Great Fit Light Training is a perfect way to improve upon that. Let's take a couple more questions, and then we'll go live with one of my favorite people on earth. We are so blessed to have our friend coming on. A big surprise. Remember, Friday, byoq. Bring your own questions. I'll bring the answers. You got to join us, though. David at dmeltzer.com, and also 949-298-2905. Text me. I see my boy Jonte, not so small there, the shortest professional basketball player of all time, Harlem Globetrotter star, Jonte Hall. How are you, my friend? I see you there. Saw an amazing podcast, but I don't really know what you're about. Can you explain a little? Well, thank you for watching my podcast. And I am the co-founder of a sports marketing company and have built my own brand over the last 3.5 years. I write books, I speak, I coach. I am on a mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. Do free trainings on Friday for over 20 years. Used to run Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, the most notable sports agency. And also, I ran the first smartphone called the PCE phone. It was a convergence device in '99. Anyway, go ahead, check out. I'll send you my book if you anyone wants my book for free and learn my story. David at dmeltzer.com. I'll send you one of my books for free, no problem. 949-298-2905. That's awesome. Let's see here. Just getting here. How to be consistent in work that we are doing. You have to take 5 steps. Take inventory of your values. Ask and attract. Ask how you can be of service or value, and ask how and who can help you. Do you know anybody that can help you? Be a student in your calendar. Know that if you pay attention to something, plus give it intention, what you think, say, do, believe, and your unconscious competencies, the coincidences you want in your life will happen. It's the formula of luck. Do it now. 100% of the things you do now get done. So make sure you do things now. the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is successful people get stuff done. And then finally, number 5, get on the journey of practicing ending fear. And here we go, our super surprise for the day. We're not fooling around when you bring Patrick Bet David on. That's right, you're about to get blown away. This guy reeks brilliance. How are you?
How are you?
I'm so excited to have you on live. These people are in for a treat. You and I got together, and you gave me everything that everybody, all my friends who we share so many mutual friends, told me. You're gonna love this guy. You're 2 peas in a pod. He's the only guy that I know that could out energy you on a live. So put your seatbelts on. What are you doing right now?
I am at the office right now. I just stepped out of a meeting, and we got some crazy stuff going on this side.
Yeah.
And then I'm stepping into one of the offices here to do this live with you. So
that's awesome. And business is booming. What do you attribute your growth in business doing well? I'd say a third of the people are doing well, like us, a third are stable, and a third are just getting crushed. What are the differences between the 3, you think? Mindset wise.
Yeah. So I'll just tell you what happened when coronavirus came about. When coronavirus happened, I was in LA at a board meeting with De La Hoya and the guys, and last minute, 2 of my board members, this was March 13th, 2 of my board members canceled last minute, and they said they're not flying in from Greenwich in New York. I said, why is that? They said, because of coronavirus. I said, what are you talking about? What coronavirus? Says, haven't you been following this on TV? I said, I have been, but is it that serious? Yes. What do you mean it's that serious? I'm 74 years old. I can't afford it. This guy's a former CEO of John Hancock. And I said, okay, so what are we doing? So he says, the board's being canceled. So I'm there with my wife and my 3 kids and my nanny. We were in LA, staying at Beverly Hilton, hoping to go to Universal Studios to take the kids there. And last minute I said, babe, I think we got to fly back. We stayed there for 23 hours in LA. We flew back. I dropped everybody off at the house. I came to the office. I spent 13 hours at the office nonstop, and the first thing I did is learn as much as I could about pandemics. As an amateur guy who knows nothing about this stuff, I said, let me see what I can find. And the first thing I looked at, I went through the last 10 big pandemics that US has had. SARS, MERS, SARS, Ebola, AIDS, whatever it is. And I looked at the way people react to pandemics, and I looked at how the market reacted, and I looked at speed of recovery, okay? And here's what was fun. I did a video about it 4 months ago. 90% of pandemics, the market recovered 6 months later. There's only one pandemic that the market didn't recover 6 months later, and that was AIDS. It didn't recover 12 months later. So I sat there and I said, okay, Ebola, MERS, whatever it is, regardless of what it is, 90% of the time, the market recovers 90 days later. So then I sat there and I said, okay, so this is the part. The next concern I had was sitting down with my guys and asking the question, what percentage of our insurance policies are sold face-to-face versus Zoom? Here's the big problem I faced. 95% of our policies are all sold face-to-face. So I'm in deep trouble at this point if it's being sold face-to-face. So then I called all the carriers. I called every single one of the carriers, AIG, and all the big ones that we do business with. And I asked, how are you guys making pivots right now? And some of them said, oh, we don't know. I said, well, can I sell a policy through online? Can I present through Zoom? Is your product fast enough where I can sell it through Zoom? And some of them didn't do anything, and some of them did. So we came back. We held a daily Zoom with all our vice presidents, and we converted all our presentations into a Zoom. Once we did that, we went from writing 3,000 to 4,000 policies a month to last month we wrote 11,000 policies in a month, and we have had top 5 biggest revenue profitable months 5 months straight. So you ask the question, what's the difference? Immediate research, data, seeing what's happened in the past, and immediate audibles and pivots, and then presenting your solution to your team members. And I think most people take their time because they're afraid. A few research and execute, and they'll typically have the edge long term.
You know what I love about what you did, and I believe, I study history all the time. Whenever something significant happens, I do what you do. I go back in history and find similar circumstances because, I've learned that human nature never changes. And what you were doing is analyzing human nature. But the one thing that I think's genius that you did that I'm not sure that I would have thought of, I immediately thought of the Zoom and how you can rethink the presentation, seeing what percentage, I am, but calling all the carriers, right? Calling all of them, 99.9% of the people that actually would do what you did and figure out, a solution and look for the opportunity, and great change comes great opportunity. But very few would take it to the step of, hold on a second, I have suppliers. Let me find out what suppliers are going to be best able to supply me. Yeah. And that's going to give me this huge advantage, because most of the people were taking their time to figure out, how am I going to survive, which leads us to that stable environment. How am I going to get my loan? How am I going to survive? Not, where's the opportunity to be of service and of value to others, and to benefit myself so I can be of more service and value to others and allow it to come through me. And that's awesome. Now, on top of that, you, like me, when we learn these lessons, we like to share them. And a lot of people don't understand why people like you and I share all of our secret sauce, all of our lessons, why we're doing this right now. Can you help explain abundance? And because both of us grew up in scarcity, we were surrounded as victims of not enough. Everything happened to us as kids. You and I grew up the exact same way as far as scarcity goes. Where did this transition to abundance, where we have the faith that, I am here to provide and empower other people. I shouldn't keep my secrets to myself. Kind of like St. Jude Hospital. I love them. They're the only hospital that shares all their cancer research around the world, because their only objective is to cure cancer, not to be the ones that cure cancer. And meanwhile, they are the largest charity in the world for cancer because they give all their secrets away.
No question. And I'll give it to you from two different perspectives. One, I'll give it to you from the strategic perspective, and I'll give it to you from the humane perspective. So from the humane perspective, is the fact that there's so much market share out there. I mean, there's so much money, there's so much commerce in the world, that for you to be willing to not share what you're doing with the world, it's you're afraid, you're thinking small, because you're thinking there isn't enough market out there. There's plenty of market out there for any product. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, insurance, digital marketing, pharmaceutical sales, health. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's plenty of market on the humane side. So it's good to share what you're doing with other people as well. On the strategic side, on why to share, is a couple different things. Number one is, most people are not going to do nothing anyways if you give them all the details. Like, I remember one time, I'm the kid that my teacher, my English teacher, Miss Collins, would pick on me. And she would say, read the book. It was Of Mice of Men. And that was then, This Is Now. I don't know if you remember these two books or not.
Yeah, of course.
And, Lenny, pets the rabbit so hard that he kills the rabbit and the bunny, right? And all this. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I would sit behind this girl named Carmen, who was a cheerleader, and I would try to hide. And she was 5 feet tall. I'm 6'4", 6'5". I couldn't hide. She says, Patrick, read the next paragraph. I'm like, oh my God. I was so annoyed, embarrassed, and I would read. And she was the kind that would make funny on the way reading. I go to the Army, I come out, I read my first book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read the second book, Think and Grow Rich. I read the third book, How to Master the Art of Selling. I read Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad, these 4 books. And I'm sitting there, I was kind of like spooked a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, this information is out there. How many people how many people are reading this stuff? Am I the only one that got my hands on Think and Grow Rich? And then on the copy it says over 40 million copies sold. Like, you are not the only one that knows this, right? But then I came on and I said, how come more people are not reading these books? How many of those 40 million people that bought the book actually read it cover to cover? How many people actually implement this stuff? How many people are actually applying this stuff? Then I went into the real world, and I went into Morgan Stanley. And I, got the offer, and I started working there. And for the offer, it was me and another girl named Sol. She was a UC Berkeley graduate. She did a 4-year program in 2.5 years. And genius, she got a 1560 on her SAT. 1996. She had the highest score in California. And I got an 880 on my SAT, okay?
And you get 800 for signing your name, so good job.
That's exactly it, right? So I get it. I think it's like 400. I think it's 400. So I want to give a little bit of credit for myself. I got
All right,
480 on math. I failed English, but math I did decent in. So anyways, we're sitting there for the job interview, and you know, Dave Kirby is interviewing us and is asking questions, and both of us end up getting the job. And it was only one of us supposed to, but he gave it to both of us. We started working, and then her and I started watching everybody. And there was a guy with a fancy degree, good-looking family, the right last name, related to Ted Williams, and from the lineage of Ted Williams. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. I can't use a last name like that. And we start going. We went to the camp, the training that they had in San Francisco. We stayed at Mark Hopkins Hotel. Right across the street was Bill Clinton staying at the Fairmont. We're like, oh my gosh, Bill Clinton is here. We were freaking out. I'm a 21-year-old broker, just got my Series 7. I'm ready to take over the world, but I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find money because I need to raise $10 million my first year. Then starts work. And then I noticed how many brokers left at 3, 4 o'clock and went home. Then started work. And I noticed how many people stopped reading books after they read a couple books that was recommended. They never read on their own. I'm like, huh, have you read this book? No. Have you read that book? No. Have you read this book? No. You know, the other day we did a conference call with Nick Murray that Morgan Stanley Dean Witter had on. Did you read Game of Numbers? No. But he recommended it. Yeah, but we get so many book recommendations, I can't catch up. So what's the last book you read? I don't read that much books, man. I have enough time trying to study the market. I'm like, I don't know about this. I just think this book stuff works. So I got enamored by reading, okay? And it went from 20 books to 50 books to 100 books to 500 books to 1,000 books to 1,500 to now. I'm shy of 2,000 books now, and now I'm reading more papers than I'm reading books, but I'm reading a lot, right? So when you're asking a question saying the feeling of abundance of giving your content to the world, one is unfortunately most are not going to execute, but the two thing that's bigger than the first one is the following. The people who are studying your content, the right people are going to find you and want to work with you. It is by far the best collaborative partnership method to put your tools out there for people to sit there and listen to one of your content and say, I kind of like this guy. You know, like right now I have this book that just came out yesterday. Yesterday was a book launch. Your Next 5 Moves just came out. Master the Art of Business Strategy. I think right now it's ranked 190 on Barnes & Noble out of all their books. I think it's on Amazon Audible. It's the 59th most downloaded Audible in the last 24 hours. And then on the book, it's done very good and it's going all over the place. But I have this book out there. You know what's the coolest thing about this book? In the last 24 hours, I've had the most weird people send me emails that they want to do business with me after they listen to the Audible in the book. These are not 22-year-olds. These are not 18-year-olds. These are not 30-year-olds making $1 million a year. These are movers and shakers at major companies that you and I know about saying, we'd like to have a meeting with you. We'd like to have a meeting with you. We followed your content for a while, but we just read your book and we're sharing it with our executive team. And we think we need to have a meeting with you because of X, Y, Z. Interesting. Just because I shared everything that I'm doing in a book? Yes. So I think the idea of not wanting to share your content and your belief system with the world hurts you, because 2 years ago, I interviewed Ron Paul. Ron Paul's a libertarian. His son, Rand Paul, ran for office, and I think Ron ran a couple times. And the unique thing about Ron Paul, everybody needs to know, is in his 70s, he ran a campaign in 2007, 2008 for presidential campaign, and he raised $6 million in 24 hours on MySpace. And Obama got the playbook from Ron Paul, and he raised a couple $1 billion. Ron Paul said something significant to me. He says, in my 40s, when I was a doctor, I went and listened to this economist speak, and I was fascinated by him. And he said, I went so many times that eventually had a conversation with him. He said, look, I can't get this information out of my head, and I can't stop devouring this content. What do I do with this passion that I have to want to study all this content? And he said, the man told me the most powerful thing. He says, don't worry. Keep sharing your views. Keep sharing your thoughts. Keep sharing your solutions. Eventually, the right people will find you and learn how to use you. And I'm like, huh, same exact thing what's going on today. So, you know, there's many, many benefits of sharing your values with other people. Many of the benefits are things that we never think about, but all of a sudden people come back and contact you, and all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, I cannot believe I'm doing business with these people I never thought I'd do business with. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
Well, you know, I'm one of the guys that pre-ordered your book and got the Audible immediately and listened to it last night. And I'm telling you, it is a kick-ass book. And, you know, your next 5 moves, I hope, as we talk about our mentors, you know, Carnegie, you got Napoleon Hill, Wayne Dyer, even I throw in there as well. But I read Think and Grow Rich every single day. I work with the Carnegie training people still today. And those books hold true 80 years later, right? 47, 48, they were written. And I'm hoping, you know, someday that Connected to Goodness, you know, my gesture and your next 5 moves, you'll be kids. We're planting seeds today for trees that we'll never sit under. And I think the last point, as I let you go, because it's 9, I think it's important for people, and if you can just give a quick quib on this, I don't think even you and I can fathom how big the accessible market is compared to our entire journey of business. That when you talk about sharing and people will find you, that you are a catalyst for so many things. You're a tool of goodness, you know, of value. But I still am just starting to grasp that I have no effing clue on how big and accessible 4.4 billion people are, right? Because we've done like 300,000 and have been busy and millionaires, you know, but I can't even get a handle around it. Do you think, number one, I'm correct? And 2, if so, how are you getting a handle around that many people wanting, you know, you to be a catalyst in their life?
I mean, again, when did Facebook come out? 2004. If you think about Facebook, Facebook is probably barely losing its virginity. If you think about Facebook like that at 16 years old, right? When did Instagram come out? When did YouTube come out? I mean, we don't even know what's about to happen to NBC, CNN, Fox, ABC, CBS, traditional network. We have no idea what's going to happen. The other day, you're seeing all these numbers coming up where there's a big debate between Fox and NBA, and our ratings are better. No, CNN is better. No, Tucker Carlson's beating all the NBA games combined, all this other stuff. Here's what they're not talking about on the Nielsen report. They're not talking about Rogan is killing everybody. They're not talking about that social media podcast people are crushing everybody. They're not putting those guys on the list, right? So today, it's a whole different game. We haven't yet seen somebody on YouTube having 500 million subscribers. We haven't yet seen anybody on Facebook or Instagram. And you're seeing highest paid actor last year was who? The Rock. How many followers does he have on Instagram? 180 million people. Back to back, he made the most money. We don't know what it's like to make a movie when you have that much of a following. We also don't know what it's like to make the kind of money people are making today. If Patrick Mahomes, which that's your world, that's not my world, that is the world you come from, gets a $500 million contract, and the following week they make the announcement that he owns a part of the Royals. So he goes to a Royals game as an owner, not as a fan. What world are we living in? This is nothing. In the next 10 or 20 years, we're going to have a 35, 36-year-old president. In the next 10 or 20 years, the generation is going to change. In the next 10 or 20 years, being a celebrity is no longer going to be a big deal, because today it's no longer a big deal to be a celebrity. It's not like, oh my gosh, that person's famous. We used to watch Weather Channel, folks, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's Mary. It's Mary. She's at Burger King. You walk by the weather girl today, and people stop by Facebook people and Instagram stars and, you know, TikTok people and YouTube people. It's a very, very different world, and we're all changing together. So the upside is limitless, and we're barely learning what could happen. We're going to be surprised by a lot of people that are going to take the tools that we have and leverage them in ways that we never fathomed before. So it's going to be a show, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, and I'm looking forward to your advice and mentorship. Your book is incredible, The Next 5 Moves, Master the Art of Business Strategy. The next Napoleon Hill, right with me here today, Patrick Bet David. Let's do some more stuff together, because you share, and I appreciate it, and I hope I can be of service to you too, my friend. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, David, for having me. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. That's the real deal. That's when you talk about frequency, you talk about vibration, you talk about elevating others to elevate yourself, raising your awareness. That's what we're talking about. Patrick Bet David. You got to check out the book in all different platforms, of course. Your Next 5 Moves, The Art of Business Strategy. You got to check it out. It is the next Napoleon Hill, the next Carnegie. This will be a book 100 years from now. As I hope Connected to Goodness, as it's growing exponentially over all the years, will continue to be an evergreen source of power and empowerment to help people be happy, to make more money, help more people, and have more fun. I know that's what he subscribes to. Anyway, Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please join me for more questions. BYOQ. Bring your own questions Friday. Join for free. David@dmeltzer.com. Join me on my text for free, 949-298-2905. Happy to answer anything. We're here every day trying to be of service of value to empower others to be happy. Remember, everyone, go get that book, number one. But two, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow.